and we've maintained that. And that's notwithstanding he's not on a formal alert per se.
But Mr Price, on your own evidence before this committee, your intervention, so you've got this body of intel, and we're all accepted on that there's really nothing about Sallis or the circumstances around the deaths or the allegations to do with the GUNS, whatever they are. It's all at your disposal. So it wasn't as if you were deprived of any of the intel. You've got it all at your disposal. Is your evidence that after an intervention that did not produce any further evidence that would promote concern for your agencies, that was it? Because that's what the evidence suggests to me. So you've done your intervention, you've left Sallis behind you on the boat, you've searched his room, there's no trace of anything, so Sallis is no longer alive. If Sallis, let me put it to you this way, if there were no coronial hearing and Sallis didn't do anything new to bring himself to the attention of other agencies with whom you have a relationship or your own people, you would never have known again in a material... It would have been in the system that Sallis is in the country again for his monthly visit or bi-monthly visit, but you would never known again. No, it wasn't as if we'll have a Bo Peep at Sallis again in 6 or 12 months' time to see whether he is a recalcitrant and maybe back to his bad old ways. He just would never come to your attention again.
That's not our evidence.
That's not our evidence. As I said, so he came to clearly on the radar at the time of the unfortunate incident, and we did the operation, collected the information, and jointly with New South Wales and AFP, there's an ongoing investigation into that, and not just Captain Sallis, the entire crew and part of the coronial. So we're obviously interested in the further intelligence or actions.
You were at that time, yes.
Then when the subpoena was issued for him to front to court, again there was another intervention with Sallis, a search of his belongings, and that went ahead, and so we had an interest then. And then again, and this is through no other...
Not an interest generated by your system,
yeah, but
an interest generated... No, look, Mr Price,
just the third
we're going to run out of time today, but I'll tell you one thing that we've got, and that's a lot of, and that's time, and we can come back again and again. I'm not trying to trap you, I'm not trying to corner you, but just work with me on the burden of this question. If the coronial request had not come to you during that particular visit of Captain Sallis, you would not have consciously known he was in the country. He was in your system for certain. Had you typed in Sallis and search, you would have went, bang, he's in Newcastle at 3 p.m. tomorrow. But without the subpoena request, you would not have consciously known. So he was not, there was nothing in the history of Captain Sallis, nor the body of intelligence that we've all agreed you had access to, that warranted we'll continue. We really want to know when this guy's in the country at particular intervals.
So Senator, apologies, I've clearly not communicated clearly enough, but on the third intervention, there was no subpoena, there was no coronial requirement.
No, I appreciate that.
It was an assessment done by officers.
Sure.
In, I think it's January or February, but
sure,
we can clarify that date, that the information holdings that we had led them to believe we should go and search Captain Sallis on that ship.
That's agreed. Let's get the
and they did that, and that was not at the request.
No, okay, so that's good. And I'll tell you something, that reflects, that would give me great confidence if that were happening, and it did happen.
It did happen.
And you need to be congratulated. I think it was a good decision and a good manoeuvre. But Mr Price, forgetting the subpoena request, after you've done that action, he's not booked in the diary to look, I'm a retired detective.
Yeah.
I used to keep a diary. I come to search your house for drugs, as well satisfied. I went back to my office and I put you in my diary for 4 months' time so I didn't forget you. I'd find you again, I'd come and pay you a visit. Sallis was not in any system that would promote further action by any of the agencies based on the intel you had at that time.
No, Senator, because our activities and our interventions occur when the individual concerned or the vessel that they're on comes back into our...
Which is what happened here.
Yeah, and so if at some point in the future he had come back in as a master of the vessel.
Which
Same
he did
risk
on this
assessment.
day, Mr Williams. That's
No,
not
but can I
what-
just finish the answer to my question? The same risk assessment process would occur, and it's probable that some intervention would have occurred as a consequence similar to the one that Mr Price is
No, well,
describing.
hold on. And unless you're hearing something I'm not. Mr Williams, we already have evidence. On the occasion where the subpoena was served, your agency, in your database, buried in with the other million bytes of information, knew that Salas was coming back into the country. But you and you and you and you and you would never have known because there was no flag on him.
red flag.
No flag. So you wouldn't have known. Had the subpoena not been issued, there's every real chance, unless you want to give me evidence to the contrary, that Captain Salas would have made his way in, had his couple of days around port and left this nation without you ever having consciously known he was there. Does someone want to contradict me on this occasion? We know the subpoena promoted you to go to a keyboard. Salas is here, we'll go and serve the subpoena. But without that, he wasn't in your detective's diary, he wasn't in a flag, he wasn't in a bring-up system.
I'm going to just give you. I'm going to add
Just
something
don't let
here.
him off the hook. For
No, I'm not going to let you off the hook. But Senator O'Sullivan, this may become very helpful. Just very quickly, because you see, Captain Salas, after the third death in Japan, was transferred to an Australian FOC coastal trader. Are you aware of that? You are. There's a nod there, okay. And Captain Salas and the other crew, you said, were placed on a watch list or something like that. You had them all on, but Captain Salas was able to remain in Australia on his dedicated domestic ship for 9 months on a crew visa, while he was a person of interest in the inquest and identified with gun issues. Am I wrong there?
Oh, I'd have to check that last detail.
No,
I just
I'm
don't
not
off the
wrong.
top of my head.
9
Yeah.
months, Senator O'Sullivan.
Yep.
Well,
Okay.
Can I just pick up, just to perhaps try to assist? I think we're straying in and out of different lanes here about how the department does its business. And I spoke earlier about preparing a chronology for the committee. As part of that chronology, we'll go to these issues around at what point we were using, if you like, an alert list, which is a very formal mechanism where we have been advised we want to do things, versus intel, which is live information that we manage for anyone coming in and out. We will explain as part of that chronology the actions we took at each stage and what we were relying on because I just think we might be
Right, I'll
bouncing
make it easy
across
for you,
each other,
Mr.
that's all.
Wilson. Okay, what about with my fellow senators here? Do we give you 2 weeks for the questions on notice, which is
Yep.
normal, 27th of June, so you take that back. But bear in mind, and just so we're very clear, you're going to put your chronology out to us. If Owen Jacques hadn't flown at his expense from the Sunshine Coast to Sydney because he was following the coronial inquest, and then at the smoko break walked up to the prosecutor, I think at the time, and said, hey, this bloke's in Gladstone today and tomorrow coming in today, because if he hadn't have said that, Captain Salas, in your own admission, the very next day or the day after was on a plane gone.
We'll address that.
And can
Yeah.
I